how we can fix climate change together. Did you know that greenhouse gases are the #1 contributor to climate change, not only in the United States, but also across the world? One way that we can fix climate change is by asking Congress to implement policies that help combat this problem. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about not only what climate change is, how we can stop it, and then what our future could possibly look like. And then here I have a nice graph. It's about global temperatures from around the world and how the 1880s is the pre-industrial revolution. That's like the start of every climate change graph, because that's when like the CO2 levels started to rise. And then as you can see from the pre-industrial revolution, it's been a significant increase till today's era of 2020s. And then over that time, it's risen about 1.2 degrees Celsius, which is a lot. And then, so first off, what is the problem? Well, obviously climate change is a big problem that affects not just humans, but the wildlife, ecosystems, habitats, environment, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. A 2008 study by Carter Bales, who is a managing partner emeritus of the Wicked Sports Club, found that the main cause for harm to the atmosphere is greenhouse gases, mostly carbon dioxide. And he also found that since the pre-industrial revolution, we've had about a 40% increase in carbon dioxide levels, which is a very big rise, obviously. And then here I also found a chart similar that's about carbon dioxide levels. Again, it starts off in the pre-industrial revolution, and it starts off at 278 parts per million. And then over time, in today's current generation, it's up to 417 parts per million, which is a 50% increase, which is very significant. And then the rising sea level is also a very big problem, because melting glaciers lead to rising sea levels, which displaces homes on the seas. It takes away like habitats for animals, all that kind of stuff. And then in a 2019 research study by the Annals of the New York Academy of Science, which is an academic journal, they found that increasing sea levels will create more coastal flooding in the United States, as well as across the globe. And they also found that the sea level has been rising a lot since the Industrial Revolution, and it's just going to continue to rise. And then here, speaking of sea level, I have a chart for the sea level, and it again starts at the pre-industrial revolution, and then it starts here in the -200s, and then it comes again to current times, and then it's all the way up here at +50, which is a 250 increase, which is quite a lot. And then, so what can we do? So we can work together with Congress to implement policies. And then like the first step that I think we should do is we should ask Congress to tell their local residents if they can like reduce their own personal greenhouse gas emissions. I think that would be a very good first step. And then in a 2022 study by Susan McCluskey, who was a special representative for the Australian agriculture, she said that 5 countries that she spoke to have to implement climate policy because it's gotten so bad. And she also said that they have to have a policy that gives their country not only the best chance to combat climate change, but also just like help their future generations from this problem. And then here I have a picture of a polar bear on a glacier, and obviously you can see that the glacier has melted quite a lot, and over time it's just going to melt even more, and this little guy's going to have to find a new place to go. So, and then we can also ask Congress to punish businesses who do not find ways to reduce their emissions. And we can also reward those businesses that do find creative, ways of reducing their emissions and keeping the atmosphere clean. Excuse me. In a 2013 study by Jerry Patchell, who is an associate professor at the Hong Kong University, he found that a very large amount of businesses are the main contributors to climate change. He says that businesses release all their gases into the atmosphere and it just builds up. And then I actually have a chart of the global greenhouse gas emissions by gas. And as you can see, carbon dioxide takes up a very large amount. And then of course you have your methanes, your nitrous oxides, and then your F gases as well. So what will life look like? Well, by working together to reduce emissions, we can definitely have a better future, not just for us, but for our kids, for their kids, and so on. And then in a 2016 study by the Canberra Times, which is a member of the Australian government delegation, they found that climate change, if it stays on the pace that it's at, it could have anywhere from a 4 to 6 degree temperature increase in the year 2100, which I don't really want to have a 6 degree temperature increase because it's already hot enough. So, and then I found this cool picture that I thought was interesting. It shows Statue of Liberty submerged by water, and then you have the New York skyline in the background. So it just shows like what our future could look like if we don't stop this problem of climate change. And then it is also important that we work for this problem right now, because this doesn't just affect us, this affects other generations as well. So when you like think of climate change, you should also be thinking about your kids and your grandkids and just your family in general, because they're gonna have to deal with it too. So in a 2022 study, Danielle Spiegelfeld, who is an executive director of the Gorani Center, she found that in many American urban areas, the number one contributor for greenhouse gases is large urban buildings. And I found this picture that explains that. So basically, this is outside the city, which is the cool zone, because it's like with trees and grass, so it's kind of cooler there. But once you move into the city, it's considered the hot zone because of the pavement and the streets and all that is reflected off the sun, so it makes it hotter. And then there's this idea of like urban trees, where you add trees into the city, so it makes it less reflective and it has more trees to make it less hotter. So as a result of that, you're gonna have cooler cities and then also less deaths that are related to heat. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. So as you can see, climate change is obviously a very detrimental problem that we're gonna have to face and that we should face right now. And then by implementing policies, we can reduce climate change and we can also combat it, but it has to start today. And then a thing that all of us can do right now is we can start reducing our own personal emissions. And I know that that doesn't sound like a lot, but if it's just like one person does it and then another person, it just slowly builds up and you're actually making a big cause. Because like together, you're more powerful than just one person. So, any questions?